You don't control what happens to you, but you do control what it does to your soul. Do you live at the mercy of chaos, or do you live like a rock in the midst of the storm? Today, you will discover why Epictetus, a former Roman slave, is one of the greatest teachers of inner freedom in history, and how his philosophy can change, in a brutal and serene way, your way of living. But first, I ask you to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and activate the bell so you don't miss any content. Now, back to the video. Epictetus, the art of living. Imagine being a slave, having your body chained but your mind absolutely free. Imagine losing everything, freedom, rights, voice, and still finding peace. It's not fiction. This is the life of Epictetus, one of the freest men in history, even though he was a prisoner for years. Epictetus did not leave us an autobiography, but he left something much greater, a way of living. What you will see here is not a set of motivational phrases. It is a spiritual discipline. It is the art of living with inner strength, emotional serenity, and purpose. Don't look for things to happen as you wish. Wish them to happen as they happen. Then you will have peace. Epictetus, the Great Divide. What's up to us and what's not? Epictetus's entire philosophy revolves around one fundamental distinction. There are things that are within our control and things that are not. What depends on you? Your opinions, your judgments, your impulses, your actions. What does not depend on you? The past, the future, the opinion of others, the weather, politics, traffic, other people's bodies. Most people live as if everything depends on them, and that's why they live frustrated. Real freedom begins the very moment you stop trying to control the uncontrollable and start training yourself. Understand once and for all that not everything depends on you, and that which is not under your control should not take away your peace. I know this is difficult sometimes because we want to control everything around us, even other people, but we do not have that power. Maybe you want to start a diet, but your parents or your spouse do not want you to, so you feel obligated to convince them, but no matter how hard you try, nothing changes, so you feel like you have failed. But no, you have not failed. They are the masters of their own decisions. What you can do is change yourself, and from your example of change, they will feel the desire to change too. 1. Train your perception. It is not things that disturb us, but our judgment of them. A financial loss, an offensive comment, an illness, all of this in itself is neutral. Suffering arises from our interpretation. Epictetus invites us to be vigilant with our thoughts, as a warrior watches every step of the enemy. 2nd, love fate, amor fati. You can fight reality or dance with it. The Stoic learns to accept what is, not with resignation, but with dignity. This practice is called fati love, the love of destiny. 3. True strength is within. Train yourself to will what happens. The world trains you to seek control. Epictetus teaches you how to train surrender. Being disciplined is more than following routines. It's resisting your own impulses. It is cultivating inner silence when the world screams. All this may seem like just philosophy, but what Epictetus said almost 2,000 years ago is now supported by some of the most solid findings in modern neuroscience and psychology. Ancient wisdom has scientific proof. 1. Train your perception, backed by science. Cognitive restructuring, CBT. When Epictetus says that it is not events that disturb us, but the way we judge them, he is unwittingly describing what science today calls cognitive restructuring. Scientific basis, Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, validated by hundreds of clinical studies, shows that changing the way we interpret a situation can reduce symptoms of anxiety, depression, and stress. Key study, Beck, 1976, considered the father of CBT, showed that distorted automatic thoughts are the main cause of psychological suffering. This is exactly what Epictetus taught. Change your lens, and you change your world. 2. Love fate, amor fati, backed by science, radical acceptance, mindfulness. Wish things to happen as they happen. Science calls it radical acceptance, a central concept of acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT, and mindfulness practice. Scientific basis. Studies show that full acceptance of the present moment reduces psychological suffering and increases the feeling of well-being, even in the face of negative events. Study Hayes et al., 2006, in research on ACT, demonstrated that accepting reality rather than avoiding it leads to greater emotional stability and less reactivity. Loving what is, even when it's difficult, is a profound form of emotional self-control. 3. Train yourself to want what happens, backed by science, internal locus of control. This sentence reveals a central idea in psychology, the internal locus of control, the belief that we are responsible for our responses even if not for events. Scientific basis. People with a high internal locus of control are more resilient, more disciplined, live longer, and have a lower risk of depression. Study Rotter, 1966, and later Lefcourt, 1976, demonstrated that this mindset significantly improves psychological well-being and performance in stressful situations. Epictetus did not call this locus of control. He called it inner freedom. Stoic wisdom is not magic. She is neuroscience in the form of philosophy, and when you combine millennia of practical wisdom with decades of modern science, you don't just understand life, you learn how to live it. Two men live the same life. One wakes up and becomes a slave to the world. The other wakes up and commands his own spirit. What separates them? The philosophy that lives within them. Ryan Holiday, one of the great promoters of modern Stoicism, says, "You don't control what happens, but you always control how you respond." Epictetus is the father of this idea. Jordan Peterson echoes this when he states, "Life is suffering, but what you do about it defines who you are." The echoes of Stoic wisdom are still alive. You just have to stop and listen. The art of living is not about luxury, success, or pleasure. It's about consistency. It's about being unshakable when everything seems to fall apart. Epictetus doesn't want you to be a stone. He wants you to be a mountain, firm, alive, and at peace with the sky and the storm. If this video touched something in you, like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. But more than that, take a sentence from Epictetus. Write, meditate, apply. Because wisdom is useless if it doesn't become practice. No man is free until he masters himself. Epictetus.